Yeah, I think what it comes down to is the same thing as HTTPS in general, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of traffic that is encrypted is going up and up and up and up and up, and with encryption, it becomes way more complicated to understand the content of the message. You still know where it's coming from, and you still know where it's going, but the content is becoming harder and harder to understand, which brings all sorts of skills around, um, behavioral type analytics. It brings in certainly there's companies are implementing technology and buying services to decrypt and installing the right certificates to encrypt, or decrypt, I should say. So it becomes more of a data analytics role as well. And I think everything ends up leading to analytics in some way, shape, or form, right? Like,
Mm-hmm.
if I can't inspect everything or see anything, then I need to look at the metadata. I need to look at the length of the connections, the number of connections, the likelihood that the pattern of connections is made from a human, the fingerprint of the way this stuff works in different applications, so I can fingerprint connections to specific applications. There's all sorts of ways I can look at what's happening without looking at the content of the message, because that content message is going to become less and less clear to me as a security professional, and I think that's pretty critical. Also, it comes down to there's this assumption in the cyber community that the hardest thing to protect obviously is the endpoint. The
Mm-hmm.
easiest thing to hack is the endpoint.
Right.
And so, how do I protect the network? How do I protect backend data? How do I protect what's leaving my network, as opposed to the endpoint itself? But this is one of those areas where endpoint technology can help with DNS over HTTPS as well, because it's on the endpoint that these requests are being made in general. And so I think there'll be some endpoint technology as well here. But regardless, as users who certainly don't like additional endpoint technology placed on their devices,
Right.
I think. I'm sorry. And by the way, I should have said before, there generally probably won't be DNS over HTTPS for valid internal. We deal a lot with private DNS inside of a company. They have their private DNS. We wouldn't necessarily expect there to be DNS over HTTPS. We're certainly prototyping, from the perspective of, being market ready and understanding and testing what sort of uses there might be for that inside the enterprise. But the control chain of the, if part of trying to maintain reliable services internally, I need to understand what queries are bound internally, what queries are bound externally. If all of my queries end up getting sent out, but really this was a private query internally, that could be problematic as well. So I think security professionals should continue to learn more and more about DNS, and understand that the tools that they have to either ensure that these protocols aren't used, or if they are being used, the tools that they have to still do some level of monitoring.